Greetings, family. Sista Shanice in the house. Certainly hope that you have risen in power, that you have risen in strength, and that you have risen to accomplish much today, because we certainly have our works cut out. I'm sure by now many of you are probably aware of the case of a Black lawyer in the UK, Dr. Shola Death, and apologies if I've pronounced the name wrong, a Black activist here in the UK who has received a really chilling, threatening letter, a letter threatening to execute her. This letter has come from an extreme right-wing organization, and it was sent to her home address, claiming that she is on their kill list and that she will be executed. And what I want to know is, what kind of lawless society do some scumbags in the United Kingdom really think that they live in? What makes some sick people think that they have the right to send someone such a wicked and evil letter? In case you haven't seen the letter, let's go over to the letter. Take a look at the letter with me. So this letter claims to come from the National Action Cell and claim that they are watching her. Well, this National Action Cell is already hopefully known by the police and known by the authorities in the United Kingdom, because they are clearly informing us through this letter of their existence. And if the authorities don't know about them, they need to get to know very quickly indeed, because these are the sorts of organizations that, incubate racial hatred in the United Kingdom. And then ultimately, because they are left to grow, they end up becoming political parties, and these are cells who are claiming to have murderers operating in the United Kingdom. Action needs to be taken straight away to eliminate this group, to take their operation down, to lock up those who are responsible, for this cancer in our society, and to take them out before the toxicity of its spread. How can they, claim to want to murder someone for criticizing racism and for criticizing racists? The whole world knows that the UK is a racist society, is institutionally racist. And of course, racists need to be criticized. There should be no place or space whatsoever in the United Kingdom for any racist to be able to feel that they have the right, to spout their venom anywhere in the world whatsoever. There should be no hole in the ground that these people ought to be able to find themselves. This is, the UK is, in fact, not just the UK, the world is a multiracial world where white people are the minority. And if white people have a problem with it, well, they need to get over it, because it's not going to change. Whites are the new kids on the block. You've only been around for the last 6,000 years. Black people, Africans, have been around at least for millions of years. We are the indigenous people everywhere on this earth, including the precious United Kingdom. Black people, Africans, are the indigenous people of Britain. And we were everywhere before the Europeans turned up from out of the Caucasus Mountains. Okay, and when you came out of the Caucasus Mountains, had you not got our African human DNA, you'd still be in your Neanderthal form. A lot of history has been hidden from the people in the United Kingdom. And I think if the true history was told, maybe then some of these races would have a lot more respect for Black people and Africans. Because, for as long as the educational system continues to feed this big fat white lie, that the white people are the ones who civilize the world and all the rest of it, they will, or some of them will forever feel, this white privileged entitlement and have this white savior complex where it's just not valid. We were the ones as Africans that civilized the white people when they came out of the Caucasus Mountains. The whites came out of the Caucasus Mountains on all four, no language, grunting, no culture, no nothing. We civilized those people, and this is the thanks that we get. And ever since You know, these people have come out the Caucasus Mountains. We have been suffering the consequences of it. So, you know, we have to speak out against racism because, you know, racism is like a cancer. And if you don't root it out, it will spread. Yeah. Africans from the day get-go has been civilizing the Neanderthal descendants. And anti-racism is just a continuation of the civilizing process. And unfortunately, there are still some in our society who need, you know, that civilized, to hear that civilizing kind of rhetoric from people like Dr. Shola. How are you going to learn how to live peacefully with your neighbors if you are not told that, and if you're not educated in order to do so? Sister Shola is trying to do the work to educate those who need to be educated about how to live harmoniously in a global society. She's continuing the works that were started by our ancestors. She's given you the information nicely. You know, she's made it a job. She doesn't even have to do this. Yeah, but someone has to stand up and speak out. Someone needs to make it clear that, look, you know, being abusive, being insulting, treating Black people in a derogatory and disrespectful way is not acceptable. Not in today's society. It's totally unacceptable. Yeah. Let me go back to this letter and see what else it has to say. So it's claiming that our sister's a troublemaker and a liar. You know, what is there to lie about? Racism exists. There have been numerous reports that have proven beyond a shadow of doubt that racism exists in the United Kingdom. Okay, the institutions have been found to be institutionally racist. The education system, the police system, the judicial system, the probationary service system, all of them have been proven beyond a shadow of doubt to be institutionally racist. So there's nothing wrong with appearing on the television to make that clear and to speak up and speak out against it. You know, they're saying that, what they say, you make a shabby living for criticizing and race grifting against ethnic whites. No, that's not the case at all. Nobody wants to have to be spending the time doing, making criticism. We'd all love to be able to live harmoniously, yeah, with everybody on this planet. But clearly there are those, yeah, whose intention it is to make other people's lives an absolute misery. And because, you know, she stands up and speaks out, you feel that you can then tell her that she's on your kill list and you intend to kill her, her children, and her husband. You know, that is going too far. That is going too far. No one should have to pay that sort of price for speaking up and speaking out. There are paedophilias out there, rapists out there, you know, people who are doing really awful things in our society, and they don't get letters like this calling her, you know, the N-word. Did you know that before Europeans actually denigrated the N-word, that do you know the real meaning of it? Did you know that before the N-word was made such a derogatory word, that it actually meant God's chosen people? Yes. And Sambo was the God of the chosen people. But like everything, you know, it's taken in that is taken from our culture. Sometimes it's given back to us in a very derogatory and insulting way. And because, you know, our history has been whitewashed and most of our people don't know the origins of a lot of some of these words, you know, we think it's offensive. But when you call us a nigger, you're actually saying that we're God's chosen people. Yes, you are. And you're right. You know, that's why we were the first. That's why God made us in his image, because we were the first, and we were, you know, and we are his chosen people. And you're claiming that, you know, what's that turd and big lump on her head, etc. Did you know that the African hair is actually coiled because it stands up like an antenna and it gets signals and messages from the cosmos? Yes. That is why we get signals, we get messages from the cosmos through our hair follicles. And that's why, as a people, we are so creative. So when you criticize our hair, just know that you're actually criticizing something that has an extra special amount of powers that you'll never know about. You see, our hair stands up as well because it's alive. Everything in nature that stands up, the trees, the leaves, the flowers, everything that stands up is alive. Anything that droops is dying or dead. Our hair doesn't droop. Our hair in its natural form actually stands up. Okay. And so please, do your research. And then you're claiming that you're looking forward to seeing her blood spill. I mean, I hope the police have already tracked you down and has tracked down all the associates of this organization that calls itself the National Action London Cell. Because what I do know is that you can't walk around for more than 2 streets in the United Kingdom these days without a camera picking you up. And if the police haven't already done the job of tracking down this culprit, identifying all of the networks that you are part of, and isn't already taking it down, then that would suggest to me it's another Stephen Lawrence case cover-up, because it should not be difficult at all to find you and all the other culprits that are involved in this cell. Yeah, and you and your cell need to be treated like the way the Black Panthers were back in the day. You need to be rounded up, taken out, trialed and imprisoned. No one in a multiracial society should have to live with people like yourselves making these sorts of threats to other innocent people who are innocently trying to raise awareness of the issue of racism, racial inequality, and the cancer that it's causing in our global society. And you go on to say, you're notifying of your intention to kill her and her family and consider this to be murder. Well, your intention that you have declared there to commit murder, I hope is going to be taken very seriously by the police. And if the police are not prepared to take this matter as seriously as it needs to be, then what I would suggest is that they hand it over to a firm of Black intelligence, a Black intelligence agency that can do the work for you. There's no way that our society should feel safe when there's people like yourselves walking around with other like-minded people wanting to cause harm and danger, injury, and even take the life to other people. You are the bullies of the world. You and your sort are the bullies of the world that the world can do without. Okay? There's incidences like this where ones have just taken it too far. And as far as I'm concerned, you don't deserve to live amongst human beings. You don't deserve to be living amongst those who want to live harmoniously with the rest of the global community. You need to be locked up in a cage somewhere and maybe frozen back over in the mountain. So, either the police do the job that it needs to do to apprehend the culprit in this particular situation, or hand it over to a group of Black professionals who are prepared to do the job. And keep your hands off of God's chosen people. Yes, the word nigger has been corrupted, to the extent where, it's been denigrated to mean something awful, but I'll just want to remind you of the original meaning. And if you want to do more research about the original meaning of the word nigger, then I can recommend a couple of books. The Negro Rulers of Scotland and the British Isles by John Johnson. And I can also recommend A Black King of Anglo-Saxon England, 757 to 796 CE. Those books will make it clear to you that the original people and the original rulers of England and the British Isles were not European whites, as we see today, but were actually the indigenous Africans who were the people of that part of the world before you all came out of the Caucasus Mountains and over time committed near genocide. So, we have different skin tones, get over it. We're a multiracial world, a multiracial society, get used to it. This is a world where people as human beings, those who are human, learn to live tolerantly with each other. Okay, and those who feel that they don't have to live in tolerance with other people, as far as I'm concerned, still needs more civilizing. And until then, you need to crawl back into the mountains or whatever hole that you came from and, not mixed with the greater society at all. Well, I certainly hope that the entire country comes down against you and in support of Sister Shola and her family. There should be absolutely no apologies for scumbags who want to give threats to people like Sister Shola. It's a malicious act. You know, all forms of racism needs to be stamped on as quickly as it rears its ugly head. And I can't wait for the police to actually post your image that they've captured of you on CCTV so everyone will know who you are and where to find you. You need to be dealt with very, very seriously. This is a threat that needs to be dealt with very, very seriously indeed. It is inexcusable that anyone in a civilized society can feel that they can go around and threaten people because they don't like what they've had to say. Yeah, we've had another situation very recently where a young child in a school was actually brutally set upon by a group of racists, you know, and unless these incidences are actually stamped out and dealt with very firmly and almost as quickly as it happens, then what happens is these sorts of incidences begin to multiply and escalate. And so, you know, also our sympathies goes out to our young queen who had to endure the most horrific beating as a result of a racial attack by a family of gypsies, Irish gypsies, who decided that they wanted to lay wait this child and set upon her as a group. This sort of behavior is inexcusable, intolerable, and has no place in a civilized society. That's what I have to say about the matter. What do you have to say? Sister Shanice, out of here for now.